everybody and welcome back to Anxiety Chats. This is a bit of a different video for me. I am filming a story time video today. This story is going to be of my worst ever panic attack. I have a few to choose from, to be fair, but this one was really hard at the time. But I can now look back and it is actually very funny. So I will be speaking about it today from me looking back at actually how funny it was and how awkward it was. But obviously at the time it did not feel that funny. I also want to mention, if you are maybe feeling quite anxious just now, this might not be the video for you, because I will be talking about panic and how horrible it can be. But we do have loads and loads of other videos on this channel if you want to go watch one of them instead, and maybe come back to this one when you're feeling a bit less anxious. Today, while I chat to you, I thought I would make some pom-poms, because that's what I do. There's always a pom-pom maker in my hand. And if you would like to grab your craft supplies or grab a snack, then please do. Pause this video and come back and I will tell you about my worst ever panic attack. So it was a few years ago that this happened. It was summer, obviously. Me and summer, I just feel like summer makes me just more anxious than usual. But I'm trying to love it more this year. It was summer and I remember I was in my old flat, which was probably the smallest flat ever known to man. It was tiny, 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 and my partner, who I now live with, was round visiting me, and I can't remember exactly how it started, but I remember just not feeling very well. And my parents were both in town, so they weren't around, and I just remember feeling like, oh god, I am not feeling good. Now I feel like I'm able to handle that kind of feeling, but back then I didn't have the same tools that I have now. I have phobia of sick, if you didn't know that, and so anytime I start to feel nauseous, I have like things I can do now, but back then I didn't really have anything, and so I was just feeling worse and worse and worse, and I was hot and I was sweating, and I was like, oh god, this is gonna happen. And if you're somebody that's ever had a panic attack, you will know that feeling that comes into your body and you're like, oh god, here we go. I can't really explain it to people because it's almost like every single like bit of blood or something drains from your body, and I get a wave of heat. I feel really, really unwell. I don't really know how else to describe it, and I don't want to get too much into it because it can be quite triggering to talk about, but I was just like, oh god, this is not good. And so I was like to my boyfriend, you're going to need to call my dad. I need somebody to come and get me right now. And so my boyfriend went into the other room and tried to call my dad. And by the way, the main thing about this story is my boyfriend hadn't met my parents yet. He'd maybe met them in passing once, but he hadn't met them really. I didn't really know them. And so he was calling my dad and calling my dad, and my dad wasn't answering. And so he was trying to call my mum. My mum wasn't answering, and I was freaking out. I was properly gone. You know, sometimes when you're having a panic and you're like, okay, I can kind of come down from this. This was it. I was gone. And so I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't deal with this. And so I was lying there freaking out, and I was like, I need to take my top off because I'm way too hot. So I took my top off and I took my bra off, and I was trying to cool down. I was lying there like shit. And eventually my dad answered the phone and my mum answered the phone. So Drew said to them, you're going to need to come and get Emily. She's really, really not feeling good. She's really not great. And so eventually, like, my mum was in town, she got on the bus to come home, or she got a taxi or something, and my dad got in the car and was driving home. And so my mum got there first, and she walks into the room and she's like, hi. Why is my daughter lying there naked with, what's going on? And Drew, obviously having not met my mum before, was like, oh hi, I'm Drew. Sorry your daughter's in this state. So they had a very incredibly awkward meeting, and I was lying there like I can't actually move. And so my mum was trying to help me. She was like, you need to sit up, and I honestly felt like I couldn't sit up. It's so hard to explain to people that have never gone through panic what it does. It like almost makes you unable to do anything. I couldn't really talk. I was just trying my hardest to try and calm down, which I think is probably the worst thing you can do for panic. I think now I know when you're panicking, you kind of need to just accept that that's happening and let it go. Let yourself feel anxious and that's the best way for it to kind of leave. By the time I was fighting it, I was trying to fight it, I was trying to get rid of it, which I just don't think was helping. And so my mum was like, okay Emily, we're going to need to, you know, you're going to need to put some kind of clothes on to go outside. And at this time my dad had pulled up, and so he was in the car outside, and I was like, I managed to sit up. I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. And mum was like, well, you know, dad's outside in the car, so they were going to take me back to their house and try and calm me down there. But I was like not able to put a top on. Like I don't know why, but I felt like if something went over my head, that would be the last straw. And so Drew had a denim jacket with him, and so they just like wrapped it around me, and I'm larger than Drew, and so it wasn't quite, it was maybe over to here. And I remember like stumbling down the hall just trying to get outside, and I managed to get outside, and I got into my dad's car, and I remember seeing him and him being like, why is my daughter walking across the busiest street in our town naked? This is weird. But I'm very, very lucky that my parents are very understanding and were just trying really hard to, there wasn't judgment, there was just like, let's try and make her calm down. At this point was when I took my first ever doctor prescribed Valium, and boy do I love Valium. I don't really like to talk about it too much on the internet because one, it is an extremely addictive and dangerous drug if you are misusing it. It's something that I take maybe every 6 months for if I'm really, really struggling, but it's not something I like to like glamorize. It's not glamorous, it can be really serious. But this is when I took my first ever Valium, and let me just tell you, I felt a lot better. I felt a lot better, and I ended up being in my parents' front room giggling and being like kind of high, and thank goodness. I think that panic attack was one of the worst panic attacks I've ever had, but it was good to know that there was something that could calm me down if I needed to calm down. And you know what, it's just rubbish that we have to go through this. Like, if you're somebody watching that has panic attacks too, there's no other way to put it, it's just rubbish that we have to go through this. It's not fair, it's hard to explain. It feels like in Scotland where I live, there's not super loads and loads and loads of help out there. But what I can say is I really, really want to keep making videos here and really try and give you absolutely all of my tips and advice I possibly can, and maybe you can share them back with me and we can create a community here of people that just try things out. I think that's the best way to kind of get better. I don't really like that term. I think we're fine as we are, but try and get as well as we can is by trying loads and loads of different tiny little things. I don't really believe that there's going to be one magical cure for anyone. I think therapy is amazing, I think medication is amazing, I think trying alternative therapies is amazing, I think reading different books is amazing, I think just getting to know yourself, getting to love yourself, that's amazing. I think there's just so many things out there, and I know it can be quite overwhelming to be like, what the hell do I try? There's a million things I'm meant to try, none of them feel like they're working. I've been there, I get there sometimes still, but yeah, I just wanted to share that story with you, as if you ever feel like you've had a really awkward panic attack, hopefully that can make you feel better. My parents met my boyfriend for the first time and I was naked, and they were like, who the hell is this guy? But yeah, I know it's a bit of a silly story, but sometimes we need to laugh at these things. If we don't laugh, we'll cry, won't we? So thank you for watching this video. I hope it made you giggle a little bit, and I'd love to hear some of your anxiety stories if you feel like you can share them. We have loads of other videos on our channel, so you can click somewhere around here and there will be videos that you can go and watch. And I will see you very soon in a new video. Bye!